Everyone.
Morning, Edgar. Morning,
How are
everyone.
you? Like, we're recording early in the week, but I hope by Saturday you're healthy again and can, without coughing and everything.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yes.
I get so bored with being sick. It's like,
Yeah, you don't like sickness.
No.
Tatiana's really bad with sickness as well. Gets really grumpy. Doesn't like being sick.
No.
Needs to be
So
out and about and running and
exactly. So I'm putting all these goodies in me, like echinacea and all of this immune building things.
Yes.
So hopefully back on track, full go.
Yes. Okay, hey, I've been reading a book by a guy, Tommy Barnett. Ever heard of him?
No.
So, huge church in the States. I love his testimony, how he got into the ministry, and it's really a God story of what happened in his life. And he wrote a book, and there are some really good leadership points in there, and I think they apply to everyone. And one of them I found really interesting is, don't minister out of a burden, minister out of your calling.
I like that. Because that is actually quite insightful. Don't minister out of your burden. Do you know, minister out of your calling. It's an interesting thing is that sometimes we have these burdens, whether it's my gripe about something my personal agenda to sort out the world, and that burden, either in terms of being depressed or a burden that is on us, it never really works, does it?
No, it doesn't. So he calls it out of your calling, or he may even say out of the vision that God has given you, or the dream that God has given you.
So work out of your strength.
Yeah, and that is something that is of God implanted in you, because he says burdens come and go, but your calling, the vision that God put in you, that stays. And out of that strength you minister. And I think a concrete example would be, let's say in the church, we're lacking people for children's ministry, and we've got so many children, and so that's really worthwhile. And you can have a burden that these kids are not being educated and whatever, and you may fill in even whatever, but you're not meant to be there long term, because it's going to be depleting, it's going to be draining. Yes, you're burdened by it, but you're never called to it. And because you're never called to it, you're not going to thrive in there. It's not going to fill your tank. You're not doing much good there anyway.
I like the idea of calling, because if you're thinking about the people in church, every one of us has a calling by God to be involved in the body of Christ, to edify the whole body. I mean, there are so many things that we could have a Bible study on, just how God equips every single one of us with gifts for the purpose of the whole body to be blessed by it. And if you impose the idea that, using that example, like, look, we need volunteers, and yes, we need volunteers. But if you go with the idea, look, we need volunteers in this and this and this, and someone has this burden and says, oh, okay, I'll help out because, they need me here and there. What I found in ministry is that those are the times that people then burn out. They get frustrated. They get angry about stuff not working. It's like, but if someone actually comes out of their calling, it's amazing that the job that they do is a joy for them, because, and that's what's saying, I'm just not even doing a job. I'm just doing it. It kind of flows out.
Anyone could do that. No,
that's a calling.
That's a calling.
And I'd love for people to start thinking about, I wonder what my calling is, because we all have one. What is the passion? What is the drive? What's the dream?
Yes, and the thing is, the callings vary. So we talked about children's ministry. So there's some, they're not called to that, and they feel like, I got a burden for it, but I'm not inspired by it. But then some others, they can't think of anything better. Like I listened to the guy, there was a guy, I think a teacher, he was teaching all the religious instruction teachers, RI teachers, and he was on fire, and he said, this is how you teach and this is how you do. You could see that he was living and breathing and loving teaching children. So, that's a calling. He operated in his calling.
And I can see that in you, Edgar. No. I mean, the thing is that we all know that in terms of, I think that that when you're preaching and then when you're teaching, you can see the calling. And you say yourself, that's like, this is what I live for. This is what inspires me. And so even if it was like, okay, so you have a holiday. Let's say you have 6 months holiday. Yeah. What would you want to do? You'd want to go on a conference and preach and teach, wouldn't you? You couldn't help yourself, Edgar.
I've done that. Yeah. I've done that.
And that's because it's a calling.
Yeah.
And it doesn't turn out to be a burden.
Yeah.
And I think that is actually the secret of what makes for a great church. When it's vibrant and growing and healthy, it's when we have unlocked people's place of calling.
Yes.
And allow them space to exercise that.
Yes. And so probably, I think the reason why it's in the book is all of us, we see gaps, we see needs. And basically the encouragement is you have the freedom to say no, even when that is not covered.
Yeah.
So even when that ministry is not happening, you have the freedom to say no and not fill it. Remain with your calling, remain with what God's given you, and that probably God worry about some of the other stuff.
What does that say to you, Edgar? You've read that book, speaking into our life,
yes,
and saying, what would be the advice that you're getting for us and our church? Would it be, say, for instance, Dirk and Edgar, or anyone listening now, I want you to work in your passion area. The best gift you can give to the church is focus on your calling area. Yeah. Because that is the area that I've actually gifted you. You will bring strength from that to the body.
Yes. It's like, I'm not always practicing what I preach, but like everyone, so we are employed as ministers at Living Grace. Yeah, preaching and teaching, and some of that ministry is really pushing our buttons. That's our calling. But then you got to do so many other things. Like in any job, you need to do the admin. Last weekend I was changing over our NBN provider and talking with Optus on the phone, and it just needs to be done. I think you just got to watch that the majority of your time is where your calling is. Of course, you got to do some of the other stuff as well. And I think you got to monitor how full your tank is. Mm-hmm. And, when it gets empty, you got to do more of the stuff that's actually your calling, because that's going to fill your tank.
I can see that what you're saying at the moment is that if your function majority is out of your calling, you've got plenty left over for the burdens.
Yes.
If it's the other way around, it becomes destructive.
You're in trouble.
And I think the same thing is that, talking about just coming out of a flu, there's a certain capacity that I have, but you've hit the limit. If I don't listen to my body and go over it, I'm going to prolong my sickness, because it's kind of like it's draining, it's out of a burden that becomes destructive.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the things is that, yes, we all have to do certain things we don't want to do.
Yeah.
And dare I say it, even sometimes you sort of think, I don't actually want to do this at all, but it still has to be done.
Yes.
I mean...
Yes. Yes.
You still have to put the garbage out, and you still have to sort of do a few things
and organizational and admin. But then, we have plenty of people in the church, they love admin.
Yeah.
They're absolutely fantastic about it. And
I'd love to have some admin help.
They're living and breathing. We have a few, and they're blessing the church.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's a simple point. Maybe a take-home point. Maybe in prayer, ask yourself and ask God, what is actually your calling? What you're meant to be doing? What, inspires you? And it's usually something that you think, that's not very special, because it comes so easy to you, because that's the calling, that's the gifting. And then operate in that and bless those around you with that.
And sometimes it comes maybe not so aware yourself, but maybe it's because other people have said, you're so good at that.
Yeah.
And maybe rather than knocking it off and saying, look, they don't know, it comes so easy, so I don't actually pay any attention.
Yeah.
Maybe God is saying through the people around you, I'm whispering into you, that's your calling. You're so good at it because I've put that calling in you.
Yes. And then if we all do that as a body of Christ, God designed us so well, every part of the body is actually going to function, and all the callings operate, and there will be no gaps.
Well, healthy church, healthy life. Healthy in every way.
Anyway, have a wonderful weekend.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.